In this demonstration, we'll take a look at how to use the traceroute command within the Junos OS. So I've got a connection to my Boston R2 router, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the traceroute command to verify connectivity to a remote system. So I use traceroute space and then the question mark to get a list of parameters that the command supports. Now, a few that I just want to mention here. The first one is host, which is you can plug in the fully qualified domain name or the IP address of the host that you're trying to trace route to. And what will happen is you'll get a response every time we pass through a router. So traceroute, although it does use ICMP, like the ping command, what is useful about traceroute is you are seeing the pathway that the packet takes, which is kind of nice. So you can plug in the host IP address there if you wanted to. We also have things like Ethernet, where you could specify the actual Ethernet MAC address instead of an IP address. iNet, which is my default here, so it's going to use IP version 4. So if you're supplying an IP version 4 address, you can specify iNet there. Or if you're supplying an IP version 6 address that you want to trace route to, then you can use iNet 6 there. You can also specify the interface that you want to use as well for the outgoing traffic. I'm going to show you the monitor parameter, which is nice to kind of get just a monitoring screen where it kind of shows you the packets being delivered and the ones that have been lost. So it gives you like a loss percentage there. You can also specify whether or not you don't want to resolve addresses. So there's a no resolve option. You can specify the source address to use in the packet itself, in the outgoing packet. So all very useful commands. Now let me start with the basic trace route with I've just got a small little network here, so I'll just trace route over to 11.0.0.1. So I hit enter, and you'll notice that it comes up with the trace route feedback or output. It shows that it'll do a maximum of 30 hops and 40 byte packets. And then down below that we can see that it found the destination in the first hop, right? So 11.0.0.1, and then gives you the time that it took for each of the different messages to come back, right? So 8.5 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds, 10.355 milliseconds. So, and typically what you'd have in your trace route output is you'd have maybe a list of 1, 2, 3, and so on listed down, each of these being a different hop that the packet passes through. So you're tracing your pathway is kind of the idea with traceroute. So a command that I like is we can do a traceroute, and with traceroute I'm going to do the monitor parameter and specify 11.0.0.1. And when I hit enter, notice that it goes into like a monitor mode where I can see the packets that have been sent. So there's 8, 9, 10, 11, right? It also shows the last time, like the speed, right? For the last reply and the average reply, the best response time, the worst response time, and the standard deviation between those. And that's measured in milliseconds. So, and you can also see the number of packets that have been lost. So I don't have any packets being lost, and it's been 37 packets now. So that's monitor mode. That's great if you're troubleshooting, connection issues, and you just want to kind of launch the traceroute utility in monitor mode while you're trying to fix those links, and then hopefully you'll start seeing those packet losses go to 0. So it's a great thing to have on the screen there. Now the other thing you can do with this, just another example is I'm going to do the traceroute. I'm going to do monitor, and what you can do if you want to is put a count on that. So I'm going to say do 3 packets. So you can see here it's sent 3 and it's done. So instead of continuously running, it's gone and it's sent 3 messages out there. And then also what we could do if you wanted to is you could do a traceroute with the monitor command and specify that you just want to see the summary information on the screen, right? So watch this. When I hit enter, this time it doesn't go into that monitor mode right away as it's sending those packets. What's going to happen within a few seconds here is that it's just going to show me a summary. So it defaults to sending 10 packets, and then it gives me a summary of those 10 packets. So the last packet was received in 10 milliseconds, the average was 20 milliseconds, and so on. So very useful command for troubleshooting connectivity. So in this demonstration, we took a look at the traceroute command in Junos OS.